Hallo Leute, ich bin Sid, ich bin aus Indien und ihr seht Deutsch für euch.
Hi there! This is just a part of a series that I'm doing on prefixes. To fully understand what's going on here, I recommend you watch the introduction on prefixes I did a while back, in which I explained when prefixes get separated from the base verb and when they don't, plus the little how-to I did on this whole series as to how to use these videos and what exactly I'm even trying to do with them. As a short reminder, you can find a list of the verbs that I will be combining with the individual prefixes in the description of all of these videos. Also, be aware that in the video I will not be combining every prefix with every one of those verbs, just in the interest of time. For more information on how to get the full list, though, stay tuned until the end of the video. And that's it for the intro. Have fun with today's prefixes. Always used to be one of the pink haters. Getting over that. Nach. The preposition nach usually means after in the movement sense or behind, and that's also what the prefix usually means. So what's the difference between nach and hinterher then? Well, mostly really they are synonyms. So there isn't really much of a general differentiation I can give you. It's more of a case-to-case thing, which one you are more likely to use. However, there are two other meanings that nach has that hinterher doesn't have. One is the repeating of something or the sense of stocking up. So for example, nach bestellen, literally after ordering, means to order something again after it has gone out of stock. Secondly, with some combinations, it has kind of a meaning of being lenient, diplomatic, kind of giving in, but not in the giving up sense, but more of like being gracious, being understanding towards somebody. And therefore, to give in literally means nachgeben. Jemandem etwas nachsagen. To say something about somebody. This can be both positive or negative. It's basically saying this is what this person is known for, or even just this is what this person is said to be known for. Jemandem etwas nachsagen. Man sagt ihm nach, dass sehr höflich ist. They say he's really polite. Nachgeben. As I said, to give in, usually after resisting first, and usually this is used for the party that has more power in the respective position. So for example, a parent can nachgeben to their child's begging. By the way, we do not use any particles or prepositions with this. We just say jemandem nachgeben, to give in to somebody, or etwas nachgeben, to give in to something. Jemandem nachgehen, to go after somebody. Just in the literal sense of going after somebody at a walking pace, not in the sense of chasing after them. And then there's etwas nachgehen, or einer Sache nachgehen, which means to try and get to the bottom of something. Jemanden oder etwas nachmachen, to imitate somebody or something. Or jemandem etwas nachmachen, to imitate somebody doing something. So for example, I could say, ich mache die Bewegung nach, I'm imitating the movement or the motion, but I could also say, ich mache ihm die Bewegung nach, I'm imitating the movement or motion that he just made. Nachlassen. To loosen your grip, to let up, to diminish, to cease. So in other words, for non-living things, it's usually slowly disappearing, and for living things, and specifically people, it means slowly or gradually stopping an action or to stop doing something. Jemandem in etwas nachstehen. To be inferior to somebody in something. You might hear it more often in the negated version. So for example, Paul steht Lisa in nichts nach, which would mean Paul is in no way inferior to Lisa. Etwas nachkommen, to comply with something. For example, you could say einer Bitte nachkommen, which would mean to comply with a request, to do what was requested of you. There's also the phrase that's even kind of a set phrase, seinen Pflichten nachkommen, and that means to meet one's obligations, to do your chores, basically. Then we have jemandem nachkommen, which means to come after somebody, to follow somebody. It's rarer than jemandem hinterherkommen, though, but it does exist. And then we have the noun der Nachkomme, die Nachkommen, which means descendant, descendants. Der Nachkomme, die Nachkommen. Etwas nachsehen, to check something visually, or to look something up. For example, to look something up in a dictionary would be, das sehe ich im Lexikon nach. Jemandem etwas nachsehen means to be lenient with somebody about something. And finally, das Nachsehen haben means to come out with a shorter end. Is that what you say? To kind of be shortchanged, but not, you weren't necessarily deceived. You just came out with, you're the loser of the situation. The next two would be raus and rein, but I already explained both of those at length when I talked about heraus and herein, so I won't go into those two again. Vor. Now you might notice that this one sounds kind of similar to before, and that's because it is. This prefix means that something or somebody is before something or somebody else that is either in place or time or movement/direction. However, we also have some cases in which it is used more metaphorically. That sense is still there, but you might have to think a second to get how it's connected. When this is the case, it can be connected to plans in a lot of ways. And the first one gets us started with that metaphorical sense right away. Vorhaben means to be planning on something, to have something in mind, specifically a plan or a plan of action, or to be up to something. For example, I might see somebody sneaking across the street and think to myself, der hat doch etwas vor. He's up to something. Jemandem etwas vorsagen. To prompt somebody, as in the theater, so maybe also to read somebody a line, or this is mostly something in a school context, to whisper the right answer to somebody. So if the teacher asks one student a question and they're kind of stumped by it, their neighbor might lean over and vorsagen what they need to answer. Etwas vorgeben, to pretend something, to fake something. Another older, purely literary word by now is vorschützen, etwas vorschützen. So you might still encounter that in some old movies or books, preferably in some military context where somebody might say, keine Müdigkeit vorschützen, don't act like you're tired. Vorgehen. Firstly means to just go on ahead, so to start early. Doesn't mean to start on something, so, as in with go ahead, get started. That's not what it means. It literally just means I'm making a movement with my feet earlier than I should have, earlier than you, whatever. Secondly, it means to be more important than something else. Das geht vor means this is the priority right now. Jemandem etwas vormachen. Now, firstly, this can mean to show somebody an example of something they're supposed to imitate. For example, I could say a sentence and you could then repeat it. Ich mache es vor, du machst es nach. I show you, you imitate. Ich mache es vor, du machst es nach. So in this sense, vor und nach are antonyms. But jemandem etwas vormachen can also mean to deceive somebody, to put an act on for somebody. And that you can also do to yourself. Sich etwas vormachen or sich selbst etwas vormachen means to deceive yourself or to delude yourself. Jemanden vorlassen, to let somebody skip you in line. This is a very specific word and it's not to be confused with jemanden vorbeilassen, because jemanden vorbeilassen just means to let somebody pass, no matter in what arrangement people are. But vorlassen is specifically for a queue type scenario where, I don't know, at the supermarket, maybe you have a whole bag full of stuff you want to buy and somebody comes up behind you and has like one little baggie of whatever it is, and you vorlassen them because you don't want to hold them up. Vorkommen. To occur as in be a possible case in something. So this is not usually something that is active, but it's just something that is. For example, I could say it's possible for people to be born as albinos. Es kann vorkommen, dass Menschen als Albinos geboren werden. Something like that. So it's something you will find a lot, not exclusively, but find a lot in statistics or some sort of other scientific context. Jemandem etwas vorhalten. To reproach somebody for something or to hold something over somebody's head. Er hat mir das von letztem Sommer vorgehalten. He held me accountable. He held that from last summer over my head again. Etwas vorzeigen. To show something, usually something that was previously concealed or not well visible. And then we have vorfallen, which, like vorkommen, means to occur, but differently. This is the kind of occur that is connected to the noun incident, which is why der Vorfall means the incident. So vorfallen is less of a this happens sometimes, but this is a single thing that occurred. It's an occurrence, it's an event, it's an incident. So it's something that you might hear a lot in crime fiction or something. And that's it for today. Now, if you want to get a copy of the aforementioned list of all the verbs that I combine with these prefixes for all the prefixes, as well as every grammar script that I have put out so far, you can head over to Patreon and support me on there for every video that comes out with as much, or as little I should say, as $1 per video. And once you've supported me for a full month and your first pledge goes through, I will add you to a Dropbox folder with all of those files. Bis zum nächsten Mal. Tschüss!